Hi, everybody. Welcome to Auditing with Autism. My name is Kyle, and I'm sitting here with my neighbor, Gary. Today, I have an opportunity to present us with a story, a true story that happened to Gary in the 80s. That would be May 9th, 1980. An incredible experience happened to Gary, and it was written up in a book in 2019. He's holding up the book now. It's called Norco, and it's about the history, the world's most fascinating bank robbery. It's for sure the most fascinating bank robbery in the United States. And the basis for the robbery, the result of the robbery, and that day is so fantastic, it's almost hard to believe it. So I thought it would be interesting for all of us to hear the firsthand experiences that my neighbor Gary actually had as a participant in that bank robbery. Not as a participant as a robber, of course. He was unfortunately a unwitting participant, you might say. He will tell us all about it. And I'm going to introduce you now to my neighbor Gary. And if you could tell us a little bit about your experiences in this book that we have called Norco in the 80 by the author Peter Houlihan.
Thank you, Kyle. My name is Gary Hakala. I'm going to tell you about this story, Norco 80. It seems like a long time ago, and yet its memories are quite fresh sometimes. It's described as the most spectacular bank robbery in American history. 33 police cars were totaled. Numerous civilian cars were shot. 9 wounded, 3 killed, and that's just the cops and the bad guys. Other civilians were wounded or hurt. Helicopter shot down. Major airport, Ontario Airport, shut down. Biggest manhunt in California. Second most expensive, longest jury trial. The Supreme Court changed the way juries are picked as a result of this. Law enforcement was greatly changed as a result of this bank robbery. The day is May 9th, 1980. I'm 35 years old. I have a small business. I have a cannery. And I'm going into Los Angeles, I believe it's a Friday, to pick up product for my company. And I had so much product to pick up, I rented a trailer from U-Haul that morning. And as I'm waiting for the trailer to get hooked up, I did something nobody ever does. I read the contract. And the contract said, if there's an accident, my insurance will cover it. But if it's stolen, I buy it. And, it's kind of in the back of my head. Well, you'll see why that's important in a minute. I drove into Los Angeles, and there's a small, not a small town, there's a town there called Brea, California. There's a major shopping center there, Sears, so on and so forth. And it's about 11:30, and my mirror is wobbling, and I need to use the restroom. And so I pull in, thinking I can get my mirror fixed, use the restroom, and continue on. As I pull in the parking lot, there's I believe a 63 lowrider Chevy with 3 Hispanic individuals sitting in it, and they're giving me the look. I thought, well, the thing that flashed in my mind is they're going to steal my trailer. Well, that's a stupid thing to think. How are they going to steal my trailer with that lowrider car? Nevertheless, this is what actually happened. So I go to the back of my van to get a padlock to lock the safety chain through the frame of my van. My van has no windows in the side and the back. As I go to the back, all of a sudden 3 doors open, 3 guns on me. There's not much I can do. Today, knowing what I know, if someone's going to kidnap you or rob you without a mask, they're probably going to kill you. Today, I would busted through one of them, even if I got shot. The chances of surviving, if they trap you in a van and you've seen their face, they're going to kill you. But of course, I didn't know that then. I didn't think about it. They throw me down on the ground, on the floor of the van, used reinforced tape, taped my arms and legs, my arms behind me, very tight. My arms and legs went to sleep shortly. They put a sack over my head, and they've got a big knife, and they're tearing out a small closet that's about a foot wide on the side. One of the bad guys drives the car, the lowrider, and the other one of them is working on me, and the other one drives the van. The two in the car are the Delgado brothers that will not have too long to live. The guy driving the van, or driving the getaway car, was never caught. We're driving, and I'm trying to keep track of the direction we're going. We made so many turns, dropped the trailer, and we headed through farming country. I thought, where are we going? Are they going to Mexico? Do they need the van? And I wondered why they just didn't leave me there. Well, if they left me there, I could report the van stolen, and they could be caught. So I figured that's why they were keeping me. Anyway, we pull up to another location, which I later find out is Corona, near Norco. We pull into a construction area. I later find out they put a bomb around the gas line, a 6-inch gas line, designed to go off later that day for a diversion. A couple other people get in the van, 3 other people get in the van, and I can hear zipper bags. They put in thousands of rounds of ammunition, bombs. First time I'd actually smelled marijuana, by the way. I know they're getting their confidence up or whatever, trying to overcome the fear. And I remember, where's the dude? I was in the van. While they're loading that, Manny Delgado, one of the guys that originally picked me up, is talking a bunch of smack to me and stuff. And I've chosen not to talk because anything I say could either make things better or probably make things worse. So I elected not to answer him or talk to him. But in the closet, my shoulder was being dislocated from the pressure. And all I ever said all day is, I have to move. He said, if you move, I'll kill you. I couldn't help it. I involuntarily moved, knocked part of the door of the closet open, so I got a view of things. And I can see out the back window of the van, and my body's sticking out about 6 inches. Obviously, he didn't kill me. The rest of them get in, and we take off to, I don't know where, but they had set the bomb with a delayed fuse. And I'm leaving a lot of this out because it's quite detailed, but at any rate, we pull up to what I later find out is a intersection to where the Security Pacific Bank is. Unbeknownst to me, 2 cops pull into the same parking lot just to talk, and it frightens the guys in the van. I can hear them talking, and they were talking on a 2-way radio. My thought is they were talking to the lowrider car because they're asking where the cops are. It's pre-cell phone, but they're talking to somebody. Now in the trial, they deny that extra man was there, but I know I was there. He was the guy that came to kidnap me in the original problem we had there. and they're talking to him on the phone. At about somewhere around 5 o'clock, apparently the cops had left, probably went to get a donut, who knows, and they said it's a go. We bounce across the street and pull in front of the Security Pacific Bank. Manny Delgado's younger brother, can't think of his name right now, stays in the car to watch, in the van to watch me, and 4 of them go in the bank. As they go in the bank, they slam the door into the face of a 3-year-old child, and I can hear him screaming. I knew these guys had little respect for human life at that time. We're in the bank, and that's where they made their mistake. This is just seconds that was the difference between success and failure. They're not bank robbers. It's their first time. They're robbing their own bank, and they're yelling everybody on the effing floor, and then there's nobody put the effing money in the effing bag. They screwed up, and they're in there threatening people, and they lose about 30 seconds. The silent alarm is set off, and it's sent to the wrong bank. There's a wiring problem or a communication problem. That's the first strange thing that happened. And then another one, there's a sheriff's officer outside the bank waiting at a stoplight. He's about the 3rd car back, and it's a red light. And he gets the call that the bank is being robbed, but it's a different bank. So he's pulling in the parking lot to get around the red light that's jammed up to get a green light going the other way. Another miracle, just as he pulls in the parking lot, they come out of the bank. He's hit 5 times with the 5.56 with ARs, totaled his car. It stops. As we pull out of the bank and make a U-turn to get that road that he was on to get the green light, he empties his pistol, lets loose with the shotgun as he's profusely bleeding, hits 3 of the 4 bad guys, misses me by 1/8 of an inch with the shotgun pellet, number 4. That pellet breaks the neck of the driver. What are the chances of that? The driver is paralyzed, crashes into a chain link fence. I have high back seats, and they're trying to get him out to get out of the van as it's crashed into the chain link fence. It's going back and forth into the fence with the automatic transmission. They've got a rope around my neck. They're jerking on the rope to try and get me out as a shield. Probably the only brave thing I did that day was figure, well, if they're going to kill me now. I resisted. They forgot to kill me. They disappear. A lot of gunshots after that. My van has, I think, over 100 bullet holes, or they didn't all penetrate. Marks, a lot from a shotgun and so on. There isn't a piece of glass left. The windshield, the rear view mirror, the windows, the side view mirrors, all the glass is shot out. It's awfully noisy in there. I'm partially deaf in one ear as a result. That 308 going off inches from my ear has done permanent damage to my left ear. Anyway, things get quiet. I don't know what's happened. I later find out they commandeered another vehicle. The cops don't know where they are. After it gets quiet, the Delgado boy in the front seat is thrashing around with the desk shakes. I break out of the closet. I can't feel my arms and legs. I don't know if he's dead or not. And I stick my head out the back window that's been shot out. And there's probably 20 guns on me across the street. The cops are hunkered down, covering the van. I pull my head back in. I'm a hostage. Help. Well, nobody's going to come across the street. They don't know where what's in the van. They don't know where the bad guys are. I have to get out of there. I've held my composure for 5.5 hours. I've had a knife to my throat. They've threatened to kill me. They've pistol whipped me. I think I've held it back pretty good. I've got to get out of there. So I use my teeth to open the cargo door. I know I can't go out the back window. It's about a 4-foot, 5-foot drop. I'll break my neck. And I stumble out. Well, I can't walk. My legs are asleep. And I'm yelling for the cops to help, and they won't. So my shoulder's part way out of the socket. So I crawl across the street, not to where the cops are. I don't know why. I guess the disgust I had for them. And I go to a Bob's Big Boy, and there's a steel electrical panel, a big panel, and I get behind it. Finally, a lady cop comes, starts barking orders at me to get down, whatever, and I said, just get the tape off me. And remember, I had to pee when I stopped. Well, I was afraid to pee when I was hostage because I thought they'd kill me if I wet my pants, because they were debating, do we kill him now or kill him later? And they decided it was to their benefit to keep the hostage alive. At any rate, what happened then, unbeknownst to me at the time, is they had commandeered another vehicle, a construction vehicle, with compressed gas. It was a welder's truck, and with 3 of them in the back and 1 of them driving, they took off, firing at the cops with high-powered rifles. 33 police cars are totaled, helicopter shot down, airport shut. They drive through civilians and shoot at them. One young kid has his hands on the handlebars of his bicycle. They shoot and blow his fingers off where they're clutched to the bicycle, shoot up other cars. They head for a place called Lytle Creek, which is a mountain pass behind Fontana, California. As they get up there, all communications are a mess. One agency can't communicate with another. Another helicopter there is trying to track them and tell the ground units where they are, but they can't make communication. One cop, who had been a Green Beret, by the way, followed them up there. He's pretty close, and they run out of road. The bad guys, what are there? I think there's 5 of them now. Start walking toward the cop, like the OK Corral. They're firing their high-powered rifles at the cop who's hunkered down behind his car. This poor police officer has a 6-round revolver. He unloads it. He's hiding behind the tire. Reloads, comes up the same place. He made a mistake. Third time he comes up, they know where he's coming up. They shoot him through the eye. Now you've killed a cop outright, and things really get nasty. Remember that 2 of the bad guys are wounded already from inside my van, and another one is had his neck broken, still in the van. So these 2 bad guys that are left, I guess there's 3 of them that are coming down the hill at the cop. 2 of them are bleeding. So it's raining. They've killed a cop. Now they bring in the LA SWAT team along with the local SWAT team. Biggest manhunt in California. 2 of them give up that night when it's raining, the 2 wounded ones. One of them, the original guy that was pistol whipping me, that kidnapped me, they find him, I think, don't quote me on this, but I think 12 hours later, and they don't give him a chance. They shoot him with a shotgun and a 308 on the ground, so that's eliminated. The meantime, back at the command post, which was the bank, a FBI agent is there and a lot of cops, and they're interrogating me. The FBI agent that interrogated me had the same last name as the first FBI agent to go bad with having an affair with a Russian agent years later. I think it's the same guy, and I won't say his name, but another quirk in the story. Uh, he was a nice guy, but anyway, they finally take me to the hospital where I meet a couple of the wounded peace officers. They keep me in there for a while, and when they let me out, pre-cell phone, no way to get home. I did an interview for Channel 7 News in Los Angeles with the understanding they'd give me a ride home. When I got there, someone had broken into my house. Now, the one bad guy that got away, that was in the lowrider, had access to my briefcase with my home address, blah, blah, blah. Whether he's the one that broke in or not, I always will think he did. They've never caught him. And in the trial, it sort of messed up their game plan, and they denied that he existed. I know he existed because he's the guy that bent over me and took my glasses off when I was originally taken hostage. I know what he looked like. He was Hispanic. Doesn't matter, but left me in fear that there's a guy out there to this day that I can tie into having a cop killed. At any rate, little side story. My wife that I had met worked at Denny's Corona. And in the book, I discovered that they were going to rob that first, where my wife was the manager. They, for some reason, elected not to. And on her way home from picking up her check that day, she drove by the actual scene where they had the dead guy out in the stretcher and so on. And, years later, we get married and we discover this story. It was linked. The trial, I was 5.5 hours in the witness stand, which was about as unpleasant with 3 lawyers working on you. It took 6 months to pick the jury, which the way juries are picked was changed by the Supreme Court. Juries are given a certain amount of time. If they can't come to a conclusion, the judge picks the jury now. Law enforcement was radically changed from the 6-round revolver to the high-capacity 9s to now they have all the squad cars, I'm sure, have not only shotguns but ARs or similar weapons there. The cops were just totally outshot that day. At the end of the trial, I knew there was another guy out there. I asked law enforcement, can I get at least a temporary permit to carry to protect myself? And they laughed at me and said, if you need help, call a cop. You can see how ridiculous this is. When I was crawling across the pavement there after the shooting started, not one cop would come across the street to help me. I kind of understand that. Cops don't want to go out there and get shot, but you got to help yourself. I'm a strong advocate of the Second Amendment. Please take reports after the damage. At any rate, I won't pursue that anymore. As a result of this bank robbery, the LA SWAT team bomb squad and K9 unit was set up in Riverside, California's county there. Oddly enough, the man that set it up, Lieutenant Turley, he might have been a captain, I don't know. I taught his kids in high school. Many years later, I was invited to speak there at that facility. And believe me, law enforcement has greatly progressed. The equipment they have now is military grade stuff. I'm sure they could take on a third world country and win. And this was the catalyst to this was the Norco bank robbery. People often ask me, do I have nightmares about this? And I can honestly say, no. I was a little worried when I was out in public that one robber that got away might be after me. But one of the worst things that came out of this, I had to go back to teaching school. And yes, I have nightmares about teaching high school, but I don't have nightmares about the event itself. Uh, Several trainings have been done all over the United States as a result of this. The police learned a lot from their mistakes. Uh, this book, Norco by Peter Houlihan, has been published. And it's a good book, not because it's about me, but they go into the psychology of the bad guys. They go into the trial. Peter spent 3 years researching this. He came from the East Coast 3 times to interview me, pick my brain, I think, to see if I had a constant story. At any rate, that's the story. Do you have any questions for me, Kyle?
Well, I wanted to, one of the questions I had was about the idea that, I wondered how it affected you. I see there's something on my screen. I'm just going to go ahead and take this off. And maybe I could take the book and show everybody the picture that you have in the book. I wanted to show your handsome mug. There's Gary right here.
Keep in mind, that's after I've been beat up for 5.5 hours.
That was it back in the day. Maybe I could show, there's some other pictures of police officer in the experience, some other people in the experience, the van, the location where the bank was. This book, Norco 80, highly recommend it.
The book has won several awards. And again, I recommend it not because I'm in it, but it's a good read. It gives you a lot of insight to what goes on in the mind of the bad guys. These guys were amateurs in what they did. They wanted to get a lot of money to escape. They thought the end of the world was coming. Kind of ironical, too. They waited too long to rob the bank. The bank was about out of money, and they ended up with $19,000, which, when you divide it up amongst all the bad guys, it was pretty skinny. They probably had more money in bombs and bullets and guns than that. Well, I'm exaggerating. By the way, the bombs they used, they all worked except the one at the diversion, and somebody had disarmed that. But they had these rods they would stick in their shotgun and send a bomb out to hit the cops. It was a projectile that would go out, and they seemed to work very well. The cops had to stay back. So they were not stupid people. So a couple of them been in the military. The ringleader in that, George, was very disciplined. A little side story, and I'm sorry I'm thinking of this after the fact. The 3 attorneys that represented the 3 bad guys, one of them had a assistant, a legal assistant, and when she was interviewing George Smith, the ringleader, she was performing some sexual favors in the prison. It was caught on tape, and it made national news. 2 of the 3 attorneys were disbarred shortly afterwards for, I'm not sure what reasons. At least that's the story I have. They were not, and I can say this with all certainty, they were not highly skilled attorneys. It was their first capital case. They're trying to trip me up, and they could have done a better job, but they did prevent the death penalty. And when you shoot a cop or a police officer, shoot a police officer or a politician or a judge, that's pretty serious. I think my life's just as important, but nevertheless, they were very fortunate. The 3 that went to prison, one of them has passed away. The other 2, I'm sure, will be there for the duration. I've had a lot of training after this, too late, after the fact. But vigilance is everything. Watch yourself in a parking lot. Uh, don't let anyone put you into a car or a van if they don't have a mask on. Don't anyway, but their plans are to get rid of you if they do. That's the biggest thing that I've gotten out of this that I share with my friends. Um, and Kyle, I'm sorry I'm rambling on, but
This is great.
if you've got any questions at all, I'm happy to answer them. And I appreciate the interview, and I appreciate my friendship with Kyle.
Well, thank you. That means a lot to me, Gary. I appreciate it. I was kind of curious if you had any ideas or opinions about the origin of why they wanted to rob the bank. Because I had read just very little about them being maybe a member of some Christian coalition or some religious, extremism, obviously. But
well, they had been, oddly enough, born again Christians, but that soon changed. They thought the end of the world was coming in the 80s, and so they wanted money. They were going to go up to some remote place in Utah and make some sort of a last stand, last ditch survival place. That was supposedly the motivation for their robbery. Had the cop, Blasky was his name, my hero, the guy that was hit 5 times, that fired the shotgun that killed the driver. Had he not been there, their getaway car was a couple blocks away where they were going to leave the van. And oddly enough, they had a samurai sword in there. They were going to cut my head off, kill me quietly. That was what I learned later. At any rate, they were going to kill me quietly. So they had planned to head to Las Vegas and till things died down and then go on to Utah. But their motivation allegedly was to get the money to get some survival place. They thought it was the end of the world. Believe me, 19,000 even back then would not go very far. But I was pretty lucky that they didn't get me to their getaway car. That would have been a bad deal with a dull sword, I think. So, people ask me why I don't fret over this, and you can either let it make you miserable or get over it. That's your choice. I think when people have PTSD, oftentimes it's because they expect something to bother them. World War II, we didn't have near as much of it as we do today. Several of the police officers suffered PTSD, and I think it's because they have a psychologist that tells them, oh, this is terrible, this is going to bother you. If you think something's going to bother you, it will. I compare it to getting in a fight. If you think you're going to lose, you're going to lose. You may think you're going to win and lose, but if you think you're going to lose, you're going to lose. So if you think something's going to bother you, it will. And, I'm fortunate that I've had the only problems that have come out of it is a hearing loss in my left ear and a shoulder problem that's persisted. So I'm very fortunate. I've had a good life. Been very blessed to live to be 80 here, and life is good.
We're blessed to have you. Thank God you made it through that experience. I just want to point out to the listeners that you are a retired physics teacher from Southern California.
Math teacher, but that's okay.
Math teacher, and so you've been helping communities and minds develop for decades. I love your philosophy of this experience. It reminds me of Buddhist disattachment or those kinds of religious, philosophical ideas of how to handle a traumatic experience. And I think that's a great lesson for all of us to hear. And, the idea that the ends justify the means is clearly a root story here. The bank robbers really thought that the ends were going to justify the means. And one of the greatest lessons I'm picking up from this story, just topically without diving too far into it yet, I still have yet to read this book, and I'm looking forward to reading it. This is why I was so excited to talk with you about it. But it's clear that they had made some bad choices about what they thought the ends were going to be and how they were going to get there. Because they were calling themselves Christians, I mean, they obviously have the wrong philosophy about what that means. And so that's also very interesting to me personally. I hope they make a movie about this story, this book. I'm positive this book reads like a movie. I hope you guys all get a chance to read this book and learn more about the story. All you have to do is Google it, and you'll read some of the most exciting, profound, and outrageous paragraphs that maybe you've read in a while. Thanks so much, Gary. Thank you.
Well, thank you for the interview.
Appreciate it. Is there anything else that you can think of before I end the interview?
No, I've given you the Reader's Digest. I've left a lot of details out, but I hope it whets your appetite. I don't get a dime out of the sales of the book, but pretty good read.
It's an incredible thing to have happen to any human ever. You know, it's akin to being in war or something like that. So the way you went through it is really impressive. It's a great learning experience for me. Thank you for sharing it. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and turn off the video now. Thanks everybody for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.